This conference will now be recorded.
Oh, that was easy. Um, Greetings from the AnCan Foundation. This is their veteran support group, and this is our first meeting being recorded. And I would like to thank the foundation for sponsoring it, along with Johnson and Johnson, who provides some financial support. Okay, also on the call, there is Dr. John Antonucci, who is a retired VA psychiatrist, and there is Gary Tosca, who is a veteran, Vietnam veteran. I'm Jim Marshall. I am a Vietnam veteran, VA disabled 200% or so. And I'd like to say that even though this is what is called a veteran support group, most of them strictly do the VA kinds of stuff, veteran affairs. But what we will do is to do the veterans affairs benefits plus the healthcare, military retirement plus healthcare, and also a number of military veterans go to work for the Uncle Sam as civilian, and so we are attuned to the civilian healthcare plus the benefits. So this will be occurring on the first and third Tuesdays of the month, 8 o'clock. And as I said, it is going to be recorded, and hopefully we can help out vets understand the VA and all of the entitlements that they have earned through their service. So the way it works, I have gone around, and there are folks that would like to bring up something, and so we'll jump into that with Rick. What kind of questions do you have, or an update maybe?
Yes, sir. I'm fairly new to the group. I've attended, I think this is my third time, so I plan on attending more now. I just got through with an appointment with my urologist. I got my last hormone shot today, and I found out that they explained that Gleason, is that what it is? Dr.
Yes.
Gleason? Okay, the Gleason, which mine was a severe prostate cancer. I was an 8. I didn't realize I was that high. And so they ran. I'm still having problems from the radiation and the hormone shots. And so
Okay.
I'm having some tests done. I do have kidney failure, and they're going to be testing that. I do have that
Oh,
sensation uh, right after I had radiation, and um, Dr. Jack, who is my doctor, told me that that was like residue from the radiation. It's that discomfort that you feel. It doesn't really hurt, but when you pee, there's a sensation, you know, and and then there's kind of blood in it too. So so he said that was from the radiation. But anyway, I went and had some blood work done today, and I got my shot, and we talked, and I'm I'm scheduled for, they're going to scope me, and
okay.
also they're going to do a ultrasound on my kidneys
Okay.
to make.
Now, on this, I understand that you are having all of these medical issues now. Have we started on applying to the VA for the disabilities that you will surely get?
Uh, no,
Okay,
sir,
have
because
you started on that aspect of it yet?
Well, yes, sir. I'm already 100%.
Oh, you are
No,
already,
yes, sir.
okay,
Yes, sir.
well,
I've been since '92.
okay,
So I
100%.
and then
Okay, you say 100%, but is that 100% for one item, or do you have 100% for a collection of items?
yes, sir, it's for PTSD.
Okay, now, do you understand that you are entitled to more than 100% if you uh, file for things?
Right. The last time that I was on here, you were explaining that to some of the other gentlemen that were on here,
Okay,
and that's why I'm sitting in, because since this has been increased, because I only thought I was like a 5 or a 6 on that Gleason, and I really didn't understand that. That's why the last time that I said it on this, I took notes, and then I went to the doctor and he explained it to me. And
okay.
so he said, yes, I was, my prostate was a severe case. So I was
Well,
a little over
actually,
an 8.
A Gleason 8, I don't know if that's classed as severe.
Okay.
Dr.
Okay.
John, would you chime in here to give an opinion if a Gleason 8 is severe? I know it's probably not good,
A
but
Gleason 8 is considered high risk. 9 and 10 are considered very high risk.
okay, so it is high risk. Now, um, as far as the treatment goes for the prostate, do they believe that it is all self-contained within the prostate gland?
Yes, when they last checked, which was several months ago, it was contained within the prostate. Yeah.
Okay, so
Now they're
that
gonna,
would put you at a stage 2, which means if you happen to file for that today, that would give you another 100% temporarily disabled on top of your 100%. Now, your PTSD, is that classed as permanent and total?
permanent in what?
Permanent plus total. Anyway, P&T it's called.
I don't know. It was from the Gulf War.
Okay,
Or
yes, but um, in general, do you have to go back every year or so for the PTSD, or did they just award it and you have been on it essentially ever since?
yes, but I do see a therapist every
Sure.
month.
On um, the thing to look now, are you in Virginia or are you where?
Sir, no, sir, I'm in Arkansas.
You're in Arkansas. Okay.
Sir,
Um, the thing that you should do is to look at your determination to see if your 100% is permanent and total. Okay, because that can get you other things potentially. And as I said, if you were to apply for the prostate cancer, since it's at this point in time considered to be stage 2, then you would be 100% temporary for that, which means that you would also be entitled to special monthly compensation, which is an extra about 345 a month, okay, on top of your 100%.
right, yes, sir. Um, okay, as far as I know, it's permanent and it's service connected.
Yes, it is. Be Yes, your PTSD and the prostate cancer is indeed service connected. Now, you said that you also have kidney failure.
Sir.
Is that permanent, or is that just happening because of the treatments you've had?
No, I think it's permanent because I'm between a 2 and a 3 on that, and they're
Okay,
watching me. They're watching
Colonel
me, and
Boykin,
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm
wait.
sorry.
There
I'm here.
is almost an expert in this because Colonel Boykin also had kidney failure,
Mhm.
and he's had a transplant. So, in the scheme that he says that he is between a 2 and a 3, does that ring any bells?
Yes. What I'm interpreting is that he is talking about chronic kidney disease, and it's
Yes.
5 stages, 1 to 5,
Yes.
and then one is, I don't know the exact terminology, but one is like when they start to transfer you to like either a transplant or the dialysis, and so 2 is the next stage, and depending on who you talk to. I believe what he's basically saying is that he's somewhere between 20 to 40% of kidney function left. It's
Okay.
kind of hard because 4 is like another, it's like almost bands of 20. So it's like, I think somewhere between 20 to 60%, but definitely what they would consider, decreasing. It makes sense about how he's talking about, Rick is talking about how he has to go back and see the nephrologist periodically. So,
Okay. Now, Rick, I got a question. Are
and
you
there is a
thinking
VA
about
rating for that.
what?
And that is once you get to like 3, that's another. It should be a VA disability.
Right. I was just about to ask Rick if he is considering applying for a VA disability for the kidneys also.
Uh, I again, last time that I was on here, you were telling other guys
Okay.
this,
Right.
so that's why I'm in here. So because you seemed
Okay.
really
Okay.
knowledgeable of all that stuff,
All
so
right.
I'm trying to figure it
I got
out now.
right. I got a question for you. Are you single or are you married?
I'm single.
You are single.
Yes,
So
sir.
the idea that you would apply for these things because you love your wife, and if you die of these things, the wife gets a pension, doesn't really really apply to you
Okay.
at this point in time. But as I say, you can get more than 100%,
Okay.
and also because of your prostate treatment that you are going on, you can also apply for loss of use of creative organ, which is ED. Well, ED is actually always rated as 0. You will never get anything for erectile dysfunction. What you actually get something for is what I call erectile malfunction, okay, which is a thing called loss of use of creative organ for the paltry sum of $136.06 a month
Okay.
extra on top of things. So, okay, well,
Sounds good
the
to me.
thing that uh, the thing that we can do is to help you along essentially in this process. I take it you've got my email address, right? I think you're in my
Not
registry.
right. Yes, sir. But I don't have your email address.
Oh, okay. I will put it in to the
Okay.
chat before we leave here.
Okay. And do you have my number? Is my number reflected on there?
Number, how do you mean?
My phone number, my cell
Uh,
number.
I don't know because I don't have access to, well, here, let me see here.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if I've got you in my list of guys. Let's see here. Well, I've gotten emails out of you, so I do have your email address.
Okay.
So I will ship you, and I take it your email address is Rick Bear?
9
Let's
at
not, Jim, let's
Hotmail.
not read his email address out over the line. Since we're recording now.
Yes, but I just ask him what the first part of it is, not the entire one, to make
Yeah.
sure that that's him.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't
Yeah.
create an editing problem for videos down the road.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So after this, I will ship you an email, and we can get started with sticking in a claim for the prostate cancer, and then for the kidneys, it would be your choice, because that would put you at almost 300%. I'm 200, so I don't know if you really need, but I'm that only because I put all this stuff down in the VA just in case you die of it. Then the wife, as long as what you die of is stated on the death certificate, then the wife is entitled to DIC, which is a payment essentially every month for the rest of her life or his life, depending.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else that you would like to ask?
No, sir. I think that's it, because y'all help me out. I listen to what y'all say, and so I take notes. So that's good.
Right. Got a question. What part of Arkansas?
I live in Little Rock. I'm real
Oh,
close to
okay.
the Little Rock VA and the North Little Rock VA.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Anyway, I have a nephew in Rogers,
Okay.
Arkansas,
Okay.
home of Walmart. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. So,
Yes, we have Walmarts everywhere.
yes, we do.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help and everyone's help.
Okay, great. Happy to help. Richard.
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing? Yeah, I just a quick update here as a kind of a recap, real quick. I had mentioned in the past I had filed for a supplemental claim so that they maintain the 100% benefits following my radiation treatment, because they dropped it to 0. But I'm claiming that because my PSA is still fairly high, that I should have the right to continue on VA benefits until it drops below 1.0. And in the past, I think I mentioned this group that I've certainly experienced different VSOs, and it's worth trying different VSOs until you get somebody that really you feel as though in your gut is going to help you. And I was fortunate with that. And I also mentioned in the past how I had different CNP examiners, and I had one that was just a case. Well, all I'm going to say today for the first time, I called the VA phone number to get an update as to where my supplemental claim is that I filed back in January. And if anyone's noticed, if you go to the website, you'll see it's in the decision-making process, and that's all you see. You go a week
Right.
later, and that's all you see. You go a week later. But for the first time, I had a real helpful person on the phone, and I never knew this. There's 3 stages in that decision-making process. And she said, I'm in the middle of the middle stage, which is, I never knew that, and I don't believe I've heard that in this group, that there's preparation phase where they make sure you get all your documents and they check it and make sure that your documentation is correct. And it moves to a ready for decision stage. That's at number 2. And then there are various people that look at it. And then there's the secondary or verification of what happened on the second stage. But that's essentially the third one. So long story short, I never knew there were 3 stages in the decision making process, and so at least I know it's moving along. It's in the middle of the middle stage, as they say. So that's all. And I also filed an intent to file for the residuals after the radiation. I figured I got to put a place mark on that, and I did that today. So anyway, I just wanted to report out that I never knew there were 3 stages in that decision-making category.
Well, okay, Mark, you got your hand up. Mark from West Virginia.
Yeah, Richard, among those stages, what ends up happening is, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I said,
Loud,
Richard,
leave it, Charlie.
what ends up happening, what ends up happening is wherever you've got your paperwork in the middle part and they start coming up with some decisions after looking at everything, the people that are in the middle part have nothing to do with it toward the end. Like mine was in Raleigh, and then they shoved it to Cleveland for the final okie dokie. And sometimes you get lost in the shuffle. So if it's been a while, and you don't get any response from anybody, keep doing what you're doing, because it could fall off that middle desk and end up in a place on the final decision making, and you might have to go look for it on the final desk. So
Wow.
you're not talking to the same people in the same building. It goes all over the country. So keep doing what you're doing, but understand that the people that you talk to today are really nice. But I've gotten into 18 months of doing this and ended up with Cleveland, and I called Cleveland, or I called my middleman up, and I said, I don't care where it's at in Cleveland. You go get that guy and tell him that he's got to make a decision. And 24 hours later, I had a decision letter, because it seems like you got a middleman that's helping you a little bit there. But if it starts dragging its feet, you might find out it's not in the middle no more. It's ended up in the third end. And you might have to go back to the middleman and say, give me a name and a number and wherever my paperwork's at. And if they drag their feet, you just tell them, look, I want to know what, who's got my. Now you've got a right to that decision of knowing where your paperwork's at. Isn't that right, Colonel?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Good.
really valuable information. So with given all that, what you said, how do I identify these people other than this 1-800 number on the VA site, and I get whoever answers the phone? I mean, how do I know I'm talking to Raleigh or Cleveland or Huntington, West Virginia? Is there a way to
that's
find
one
out
thing you got to
exactly
get
where it is?
used to, is when you start, you need to ask that question on where you were at when you were talking to an individual. You got to make sure you don't need their last name, ask for their first name. Keep that 1-800 number where you were called, and also ask that person, where are you physically located, and where is my physical paperwork at? And if it's in the middle, like she said, then she should be able to tell you where exactly that it's at. But they have a tendency to, I don't want to say lose your paperwork, but misplace it. And then I ended up talking to the same guy every 2 months until he
Wow.
finally said, Mr. McAllister, I don't have your paperwork no more. And I said, well, where's my paperwork at? And he said, well, it's in Cleveland. And I says, well, who's got it in Cleveland? And he says, well, I can't tell you that, but I know who's got it. And I said, you call him up and you tell him he better move that paperwork. And 24 hours later, I got a message. Mine was done. So, you can, I can't express it enough, guys. You have to stay on top of this. You really have to stay on top of it. And I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Is just keep homework, keep names, keep numbers, and ask questions, because that's the only way. Because they'll lose that stuff in a heartbeat. Isn't that right,
Wow.
Gary?
You talking to Gary Tosca?
Okay, great. Rick. No, I'm talking to Rick. He has his hand up.
Yes,
Rick
yes, sir.
McCullum, you are there we go.
Yes, sir. Okay, will you help me with all that? And the gentleman that just got through talking, what is your name? Mark?
It's Mark from West Virginia.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
Mark from West Virginia.
Okay, because you were cutting in and out really bad, but so you had problems with that? I mean, filing for that?
Well, actually, it's a more of an internal paperwork flow problem. Okay, but we can handle that, Rick.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay. I don't. I'm just skimming over this, but
Yeah.
the things the VA is changing now since things have been happening in the past few weeks. So I'm just wondering if there's going to be delays.
Well, actually, there is a video out that was just put out by the guy who is in charge for a week, and he says, "Don't worry about that. It's a bunch of propaganda."
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I just saw the video. It's within a VA news item that came out, and it's a recording. And so I would not get hysterical. Okay.
Right, because I've been asking at my VA, and so far nothing has happened. No one has been laid off yet, and everything seems to be going good with both the VAs that I visit. So
And so I would suggest do not get involved in the politics. It will drive you
right,
crazy. I was a government civilian for 22 years after retiring out of the Air Force. And I'll tell you what, for the first 6 months within Treasury, I was lost because the civilians do things totally different. But then I adapted and I stayed out of the politics, and everything runs. Trust me, it
right,
will run fine.
yes, sir. Okay,
Okay.
thank you, thank you
Sure.
very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to ask one more question to Mark.
Sure.
Mark, it sounds like that you did all this solo. You did not use your VSO to look behind the scenes at the Veterans Affairs office to track this. It sounds like you did this all on your own, correct?
Well, if you can hear me, you have a number of that claim. So once you get somebody on the phone, all you need to do is give them that number. You give them that number, it comes up on their screen. When that comes up on their screen, you can ask as many questions as you want to about that paperwork.
Okay, all right.
So,
boy, I'm glad I brought this up.
make sure you keep track. You got to keep track of what day it is and who you're talking to.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Carl, you have a question for us, or a comment, or anything at all?
Well, good evening, all. And again, thank you very much for putting on this call. It's always very, very much appreciated by me, and I'm sure all of everybody present. I got a couple questions. I would like to start the process, do the VA disability claim. I have
Okay.
filed, I have filed a letter with the VA, so they have a record, which is good for 1 year. You advised me to do that. So now I'd like to do the next step. I have gathered my materials from my urologist.
Okay.
Got prostate cancer, Gleason score, very fortunately much lower than Rick's, but it's cancerous, and I would like to know what my next steps are.
Okay. Just a quick lay of the land. Okay. Have you started treatment yet? Any kind of treatment, or have you decided what kind of treatment you will have?
Yes, I have done treatment. They've done surgery um, to contain the blood flow to the prostate. Um, it basically it takes the nutrients away from the prostate, and I am in medicine and I'm under active surveillance,
Okay.
but
Now,
no surgery has been planned as of yet.
okay. So you're on active surveillance at
Yes.
this point in time. Okay. Uh, just out of curiosity, have you joined the AnCan Foundation active surveillance group?
No.
Because there is quite a good Gary Tosca up there in the corner has been on now active surveillance now for what, 9 years, 10 years now, Gary?
14 years.
14 years. Now, the deal is, I take it you are probably a Gleason score of a 6, or
Correct.
could it be just a 6, right?
Fortunately, just a 6.
Okay, so in the scheme of things, when you apply, you are going to be rated at 100% temporary as long as you are under active surveillance, and active surveillance is considered a valid treatment for the prostate cancer. Okay?
All right.
And as long as you stay on active surveillance, and Gary, how many times a year or does the VA come to you to find out, provided you are still on active surveillance?
Well, I have to go. I have to go visit the doctor at the VA at least once a year to basically stay in the system. But they
Okay,
don't take care of my prostate cancer. I go to the Mayo Clinic. So I just
okay,
tell my PCP doctor that, I'm going for like an MRI later this month. I saw her last month and I tell her what's going on. So it depends if you were going to get treated at the VA facility of your choice, they would certainly know what's going on because you'd be going every 6 months for a PSA test, and hopefully an MRI every year, and then perhaps a random biopsy and a targeted biopsy every 3 to 5 years. So that's what they do on
okay.
the outside. I don't know. I don't think I've run into anybody that has just had their prostate cancer taken care of by the VA. Mine is,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's a fine. I was just curious if they were doing like a CNP exam every year just to keep you 100% temporary.
Well, I hope you haven't spoiled the apple cart, but those people haven't bothered me for like 3 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've been very fortunate that and the last one was a telephone conversation that lasted
Right,
about 2 minutes.
right.
So
Okay, so
they have not bothered me. They have not bothered me about that. And of course,
okay,
I'm still 100% temporary. Yes.
but prior to that, did they contact you essentially every year to check up on you in the beginning?
Well, it was my obligation to them to show up at least once a year.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. At
to
the
stay
VA.
into the
Right.
system and to tell the, and then I would tell them I did this or I did that. And like I
Right.
say, my care has been at the Mayo Clinic up in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. But that's that's in essence on the healthcare side of the house, which does not talk to the other side of the house. Interesting. Well, there could be or not. Rick McCullum, you have your hand up. Would you like to chime in?
Yes, sir. Now, am I okay? Listening to this temporary thing
Right.
from Carl and from Gary, and is that what I'm under? Because I don't know if I'm just now getting this terminology, so
Right.
I'm not. Am I am I active or am I temporary?
Well, active, what they're talking about is okay, active surveillance is when you are not bad enough, like me and you, to actually be treated, but just to be watched.
Okay.
Okay. And it you long ago there was a term called watchful waiting, but that wasn't really a good term to use, so they changed it to the active surveillance. And it is where you are tested generally every year to see if it has progressed. But now, as far as a disability goes, a rated disability, that that is rated as 100% temporary because it could be treated eventually and it could be handled. Okay.
Right.
So um, let's get back to Carl. Now, Carl,
Yes.
for your disability, what is your service connection? In other words, how do you
Uh,
contend that the military was the cause of this?
I was in the Persian Gulf War. I was in
Ah,
Iraq
okay.
and Afghanistan.
You are covered under the PACT Act, presumptive, no questions asked. Hey, you are covered.
Okay. What I
Okay,
would like to
so
know is, what I would like to know, Jim, is like, what
yeah.
are the next steps?
Okay,
What
the
do I
next
do
step
administratively?
is going to be easy. I can assist you because your claim's going to be probably a piece of cake to do. And the thing I'll do, because I have a number of samples of them, and I can guide you in then filling out the forms. Okay,
All
the
right.
form. And now the thing in general, everybody needs to understand the VA is quite good about having fillable forms, but the place where they're not that well, I wouldn't criticize this, but there isn't much on how to actually present your claim to the VA. And so, therefore, the thing that I've done is to put together a template that will guide you as far as the information that you need to supply to the VA.
All right.
And
Perfect.
so that template for you, because the first thing that you have to convince the VA is that whatever you've got was service connected. Okay. Because if it isn't, then you can contend it essentially all day long, but they will not approve it. Then, and where the disability has to be described. And that's part um, section 2 of the claim. Then section 3 is to describe what are your recurring medical treatments that you need, the doctor's visits, and all of the drugs that you are possibly taking. And just for clarity's sake, anybody file this away. Anytime you specify any kind of drug, always use the generic name. The VA runs off of generic names, not off of trade names. If you give them trade names, they might not know what you are talking about. Then the last part, the last section is what are the effects, the residual effects. And I class these as the physical effects, the psychological effects, and the sociological effects. All those can play into what kind of a rating you can get. If you've got plantar fasciitis, the effect of that is I can't go out and do disco dancing anymore. Now, how much they would give you for that, I don't know, but it's an effect, a residual effect. Okay. So, Carl, yours should be fairly easy. Now, Carl, are you within the Virginia area?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I would like to propose next time you are in Henderson Hall, I could visit with you, and maybe you could, at your convenience, you could sit down with
Oh,
me.
sure. Well, actually, now, are you a Marine offhand?
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, actually,
Remember we
you're
had lunch
talking
at
about
you had the lunch at the USO once.
right, Fort Myer. Okay,
Fort Myers,
Henderson
not
Hall
Henderson.
has its own
Okay.
attachment to Fort Myer. Sure, actually, yes, I would love to meet you over there, and we could have lunch and go through this in a high level. Now, the thing that I want to do to all of the vets is to train them how to submit their own claim, because a lot of times you go to a veteran service officer, you answer their questions, they happen to fill out forms, they submit them, you leave, you don't have a clue what they did. Well, I want to train everybody as to how you can do your own claims, how you can submit your own claims, and then you'll know how to communicate with the VA. And as I said, there's a lot that you can get out of it. Okay. Okay, anything else along that topic before we move on to Gary?
Yes, I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
And this might be applicable to other people too. So if I have prostate cancer and I have a urologist,
Okay.
I want to get a second opinion, which I did via the John Hopkins facility, which was very, very
Okay.
good. So now I got two doctors.
Okay.
With Medicare, most of us are on Medicare, and TRICARE, is there an issue having two sets of doctors looking at the same problem?
Um, I take it you are TRICARE for life?
Yes. So I just wonder in the group here, I wonder if anybody has any experience of having a doctor and then looking at another doctor and then submitting those things to Medicare. Is there going to be an issue or not?
Now,
I know that's a
uh,
little bit outside of this conversation, but
I don't believe so. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody having trouble essentially on a second opinion.
Hey, Jim, can
Jim, I
I
think
try in?
Gary and Bill had their
Yeah,
hand up,
sure.
but they're indicating that there isn't a problem. I believe that's right.
Yeah. Hey, this is Bill. I think the key is when you make appointments, you can ask the people in the doctor's office when you make the appointments before you ever go in there and say, "Hey, I got Medicare and TRICARE for life. Are you going to, is it going to be covered by them? And that way, the score before you ever go in there.
Right. And I did that, but I wonder, like, now I go to another doctor, John Hopkins,
Hmm.
and I say
Yeah.
again, I got Medicare and TRICARE, and they say, oh, that's wonderful. People gladly take that. So now I got two sets of doctors looking at the same issue. I wonder if that's a problem from the
No
insurance
problem.
perspective.
I don't believe
Carl,
so. No.
have you thought about joining the AnCan low to intermediate group?
No, I guess I'm going to join two groups. The active
Well,
observation.
well, actually, at his point in time, you said, Emily, active surveillance. So
Active
in the
surveillance, yeah.
active surveillance group, so what are you trying to get a second opinion on? Are you getting a second opinion on the Gleason 6, or just a second opinion of should you do active surveillance, or should you have surgery?
Yes, basically on the surgery part, because one
Okay,
doctor, one
I
doctor
think
said,
if you join the active surveillance group first, I think that will probably answer the question about should you remain on active surveillance, um, or should you think about having it treated? Because there is a lot of thinking about, at your point in time, if it's a true Gleason 6, then active surveillance is appropriate these days. But another thing you might want to consider is to get a second opinion on the Gleason 6, okay, to ensure that indeed it is a Gleason 6, and they can help you doing a second opinion either out to Dr. Epstein, who is the leading guy in the country, or Ming Zhao, who is like number 2 in the country. Okay?
yes.
So, as I said, active surveillance. And the thing I can do is I can sign you up for that anyway after, let's see, after this session. So, and in fact, active surveillance is going to be tomorrow night, I think, isn't it, Gary?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
I can send you the announcement for it because it's already been sent out. But anyway, I get a copy of it just in case. So
Yeah, Jim,
uh,
if you have Carl's email, yeah, if you could forward
yes,
him the reminder. I was just gonna put in a chat room for him to give me his email. But if you've got it, if you would just forward him the reminder for tomorrow, and I'll look forward
yes,
to seeing you tomorrow night, Carl. You'll be a new guy. We'll take
yep.
some time and go over where you've been, what you've done, what you haven't done, what we think you should do, and things like that. Okay.
Appreciate it in advance. Thank
All
you
right,
again.
Yep,
brother.
anyway, I got that.
I will be there
Yes,
too.
I do have his email address.
Friedrich _ telecom.
Okay, now Rick,
Yeah.
you said you're going to join the AS group also.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now,
Well,
now
Rick, in the
you've got a Gleason 8, unfortunately, so you need to join a different group.
right, active surveillance is really not the group for you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What?
The low intermediate group is probably the group that you should join because you have stage 2, and you're let me think here.
It's probably the high risk group.
Trying to
All right, Jim,
remember if you have decided upon a treatment plan or you're just trying to figure it out.
Okay. Okay. No, I wanted to ask you because you were
Sure,
talking to Carl. Um, can you help me? Because I don't live in your area. I'm in
that's okay.
Arkansas. So it seems like a lot of you guys are in the same area, Virginia, which I wish I was there, but I'm not. So, but can you help me go over that stuff and fill out the paperwork and do all that stuff?
Absolutely,
And do,
absolutely.
and do I need to check in? Because I have not checked in, but do I need to check in with my VSO?
Well, it depends. If indeed you would want to use essentially a VSO to do this, and the VSO, the thing that I would advise if you do want to use a local VSO, let me describe the way that I do a claim and then go into the VSO and figure out how they do the claim, and you can choose which one, okay?
Okay,
Because as I say, I've I've cleaned up a lot of veterans, um, not claims, but after they have gone through a VSO and it was a disaster or two, then I've come back and tried to straighten things out. But there
sir.
are good ones out there, but at least let me describe the way that I think it ought to be done. Okay.
Because
And if
because
it
I was
makes sense to you, I can help you.
yes, because I was going to say because I've listened in to your thing and you're very knowledgeable. So I'll just go with you. I'll just go with you if that's okay.
Okay. And the thing I can do happens to be we can do a video conference during the day. It
Okay.
isn't a problem. Okay.
Okay, sir. All right. Just let me
Okay.
know when you're available. So, okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Colonel. Yes,
Yes.
sir. Hand up.
Yes, yes, thank you. I just wanted to go back to Carl's question because I'm not sure that we actually quite directly answered you. Carl, you asked about, is there a problem having two doctors look at your stuff from a TRICARE and Medicare
Right.
perspective? And I think the answer, like everybody's saying, is no. But I think the piece that we may have missed is that what you want to do is just not go out by yourself and just go to a second set of doctors because it might get misinterpreted that you are basically getting seen for double things. I think what you want to do is with your doctors that you're seeing, the first set of doctors, is tell them you want a referral that goes through the TRICARE process to authorize the treatment first to go get that second opinion.
That sounds like very, very good advice. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
If I could ask a question real quick,
Sure.
of
Sure.
that of Boykin, is that Colonel? Are you a Colonel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, sir. All right. Now I was treated. I don't know if you know the Arkansas, but UAMS is connected to the VA in Little Rock, and the doctors switch off and on. That's where they're trained,
Mhm.
UAMS, and then the VA. So I had my radiation therapy at UAMS and my other treatments at the VA. So will that interfere with anything, or or is that okay? Because I just had VA. I don't
Okay,
have
so
TRICARE.
right, what I was talking about in Carl's situation is that how you go about doing it. Getting the treatment isn't the issue, but what I'm suggesting is that there is a bureaucracy that you have to ask for permission first. In
Yes.
your case, what you're describing, Rick, to me sounds like you have already gotten permission and was told where to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think
Yes, sir.
your situation, what you're doing is fine. I was just concerned that maybe what I was hearing Carl say he
Okay,
was
I'm
going to go
sorry.
do was a little different.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The advice that you gave me was absolutely 100% accurate because I went off the reservation and did it my own. I didn't get a referral, but I think I can get a referral still. and I will do that. So thank you very much for that
Okay.
advice.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yep.
Gary Mann,
Yes,
you
sir.
said that you had something to bring up.
Yes. Just to give you a thumbnail of what's been going on with me. I developed peripheral neuropathy, and we submitted a claim for it. The VA did not contest I was not exposed. However, they have a rule, quote unquote, that if you do not have a 10% disability with 1 year after exposure, you're denied automatically. Well, in the early 70s, no one knew what Agent Orange would do to us. So I've had EMGs, C&P exam. They have all agreed, yes, your diagnosis is correct. And so I was with my PCP at the VA, and I said, could I get a referral to VA neurology? And I'm also going to see a neurologist, a civilian neurologist, just to keep them in the loop. And I said, I'll provide you all the notes, etc., from what they say. So I did see the civilian neurologist. They had limited, if no, experience concerning Agent Orange, but I went prepared and gave them a lot of information on what the VA considered the presumptive cases for Agent Orange, etc., and the specifics for peripheral neuropathy. I'm due to see them a couple days after our next meeting, and the neurologist assured me that she would be up to date on Agent Orange by the time I saw her the next time. In the meantime, I had got the referral to see the VA neurologist, and basically it was a total waste of time. She was like, didn't really understand why I was even there. Couldn't give me a definite diagnosis. She said, I can't tell you what's causing it.
Right.
I said, well, then also you can't rule out Agent Orange, can you? And she says, I can't tell you Agent Orange is causing the condition either. And so it was basically a total waste of my time. And I had a better exam from the civilian neurologist than I did the VA. And I'm just kind of at odds at how that's going when I present all this information for the appeal, how that's going to affect the situation. And I do think I'm probably going to have to find a neurologist that'll do a nexus letter for me to get this on the road. And any advice you folks can give me, I'll be more than happy.
Bill, you have your hand up. Do you have
Uh,
something to chime in here?
So Gary, I've never had a great experience with neuropathy. Obviously, I'm not a I've not been exposed to Agent Orange, but I've got spondylosis, and at one point had just lost feeling below my waist,
Yep.
And had a L4 laminectomy to take that pressure off, which did fine. It didn't solve everything. I've been to Disabled American Veterans. I've talked to the VA several times. I would normally get during Jim, I guess you call it the C&P exam, a contract doctor that also would not really know anything would be like, I'm touching your foot. Can you feel this? Yeah, I can feel it, but I can't feel the bottom of my foot when I walk around. What's can you ask me something that's relevant? I'm seriously considering going to an outside medical group that specializes in deciphering the disability code for me.
I'm
Okay.
considering that myself, but I'm wondering if you do that, how's that looked upon within the system? Is it kind of like good
I
or
can
bad?
I can
And
address that a little bit. You know, having done a lot of CNP exams, what the VBA will do is that they will collect the progress notes from the VA neurologist. They will also want to look at the progress note from the civilian neurologist. And they will probably order a compensation and pension exam either
I've
by
already had one.
so that they will then have in front of them the person that did the comp and pen exams detailed, very detailed report, and the notes of the other two doctors. And they'll make a determination based on the information that they get from all those three and the history that you gave of possible causes.
The
So it won't interfere that you have more than one opinion in there.
Well, the VA neurologist basically said, I don't need to see you again.
Okay.
And I said, well, okay, that
Well, that's
must be the company line that
Not much of a detailed examination there.
it wasn't much. I worked in healthcare for more years than I want to remember on the administrative side. And I would not recommend this physician to anyone, quite honestly. And I was very disappointed in the quality of care from the VA.
well, actually, Gary, what did you expect her to do?
Well, I
I mean,
expected
honestly.
I expected an exam similar to what I received from the civilian neurologist.
Okay.
I didn't get that, and it was really perfunctory exam, just to like, can you do this? Can you do this?
Okay.
I was probably not there more than 20 minutes at all,
Right.
and part of that was giving history, and so it was kind of like I was just
So,
shuffled through.
in the end, though, did she admit you had peripheral neuropathy?
She did.
Okay. So now, the thing that which I think is that people have to understand, the healthcare side is the healthcare, it's not the benefit side.
Correct.
So the healthcare side is not going to give you service connection because they're there to treat the healthcare of you today, not to try to figure out what was the possible health implications of Agent Orange back in the days of what? That's strictly essentially on the um, okay, on the benefit side. Now,
Okay.
have you gone out and tried to find any kind of medical studies or any kind of scientific evidence that will link peripheral neuropathy with Agent Orange or maybe any kind of toxic material that you could have been exposed to?
You had sent me a link to some of the material.
Okay.
I've been scouring the internet for other things. I probably have 6 or 7 different studies I printed out and I've been going
Okay.
through, and which I probably plan to submit these with my appeal. But I was just hoping when I saw the civilian and VA neurologists that they would both agree, and maybe the VA would have the most experience with Agent Orange, and
Well, that's
but
now.
that is a head scratcher, in some areas, I think. But I was just trying to get a consensus of both the civilian and the VA doctor that yes, okay,
Well,
problem here.
the thing that you need is, and I don't know if a civilian doctor's going to swear that Agent Orange can then cause peripheral neuropathy. Okay. I kind of doubt that because they will say you have it, but the actual service connection is always essentially and with the bugaboo. Okay, in this. Now, there is the thing that what they do is they, in the VA rules, they impose this 1 year aspect of it. So if you can contend that you had it back then within 1 year and do a sworn statement, it might fly.
Okay.
But if you didn't have it, then the rules are the rules. If it showed up, 15 years afterwards, then the VA is going to say, well, how do we know that it was Agent Orange? So is that a 10% critical to what you've got now?
Not sure.
Well,
Here
how
again, it
much
occurred late
are
in
you
life,
today?
and I can't really remember at that point in time in the early 70s. I don't think anything was present.
Okay.
So am I just barking up the wrong tree?
Well, I don't know. It's a tree that's awfully hard to climb. Now, what is your current disability rating?
I'm at 60%.
You're at 60 and you're attempting to get to what?
Whatever.
Whatever.
I have the neuropathy is in both hands and feet and legs.
Okay, so yeah, that I can. Rick, you have had your hand up for a while. I need to get to you. You are muted.
Right. Yes, sir. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
If I'm just listening to everybody and I'm just asking questions here.
Sure.
But now I have peripheral neuropathy too in my left side, and I have a seizure disorder, and I have 4 lesions on my brain that have healed
Okay.
because of the seizure disorder.
Okay.
And I don't know if that doesn't all happened before I got prostate cancer, but I've had melanoma, which has been taken care of, and I've also had rectal cancer. So, and that's been taken care of. I don't have that anymore. I don't have those 2
Oh.
cancers anymore. So I only have the prostate cancer now. So is this, do I need to file for that stuff, or can I just file under the prostate cancer?
You can file for whatever you would like to file. The question is, the thing that I try to get across to people is we need to do a cost benefit analysis first. Okay, because there'll be a cost to putting together all of the stuff that you have to put together, the time, the effort, everything else. And what is it going to get you?
Okay.
With you, you are already 100%. Okay, great. knowing that you can get more than 100%, then in essence, anyway, the prostate cancer is going to give you 200% in a temporary mode.
Okay.
Now, eventually, what we hope will happen is that they will handle this and you will be downgraded to some amount, either 10, 20, 30, 40, or 60, depending upon what kind of treatment you have. Okay?
Okay.
So, do you want to also file for the other things which you could do? And the question is potentially how much would it give you money wise? Okay?
Okay.
And the thing is that's probably about 6 months to a year down the road, so you have time to figure that one out.
Okay.
If it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
When I get with you, maybe I can
Oh,
I can
sure, we
get,
can.
go more into it. But I mean, if I'm filing for this, I was listening to the other guys, and I was listening to Gary, and I was listening to Carl
Right.
and Mark, and if they're going for other stuff, that's why I brought that up. If I can file for, because you see, you're really knowledgeable of all this stuff, and I know that you've worked in this area and everything. But
Yeah,
if I can get more for this, then yeah, I'm in. I mean,
sure. I mean, that's
so
good. Now, the thing in general from a strategy point of view, should you apply for one big thing or add 7 things within the same claim? Well, if you add 7 things in the same claim, it will take you months and months and months to put it all together, right?
okay,
Because of all the medical stuff. But if you have one that's going to be 100%, let's put that one in quick
okay,
and it can be adjudicated quickly and you can start collecting the money and you can always go back to file additional claims after the fact.
okay, sir. That
Okay?
sounds good.
Yeah. I'd like to recognize we have Sylvester Mann on the call for the folks out there in the world that are listening in. Sylvester is a retired VA employee that I believe did claims at one point. Is that true, Sylvester?
I assisted in filing claims, but not
Ah,
adjudicating claims.
fantastic.
My
And
my employment dealt primarily with conservatorships. That is, when someone else is in charge of your affairs, money affairs.
okay.
So that was
Well,
my position.
oh, good. Okay. Okay, fine. Um, let's see. Anybody have any more questions before I start asking questions? Because I have a number of them. Nope, I don't see anybody jumping up. Sylvester, maybe you understand this one or not. Okay, I have a spouse of a deceased veteran, and I recently learned that he died of a presumptive disease, but she never filed for the DIC, okay, to get money for it because and I was looking at the form. I think it's a 21P-534. And just in general, at the time that she happens to file this claim, does she file it under her social security number or file it under his? Because on the form, the first thing in the section 1 is all of the information about the husband, and then in section 2, it has all of the information about her. Any ideas about how this works?
I'm assuming the veteran was service connection
Yes.
before he died. And I'm assuming that she was a dependent of his before he died.
10-4.
So if his death is service connected, then she would be eligible for what we refer to as indemnity compensation. That is, a widow of a veteran who files in her own right to receive compensation because of his death. So the information she would provide would be the information regarding the veteran. And if the VA needed additional information regarding her, which it should already be listed as her being a dependent, then they would ask for additional information. Did that answer your question?
Okay, so is it filed under his VA file number, or does she get one created for her?
No, she does not get a file number created for her. It's
Okay.
all of the veterans.
Okay, good. That right there answers the question. Thank you very much for that one. Let's see, Rick took off because this has got something to do with him. But I'll start it anyway. I had the experience with community care. Everybody understand that community care within the VA is the area of the VA that if the VA determines that they cannot handle you, or you might be out of range of local VA treatment center, that you can get assigned a private doctor that is paid for by the VA. And I think that's what Rick, not the Rick that just joined, but the Rick McCullum, has been using out in Arkansas. So I had an interesting episode with how to get my VA doctor to approve referring me off to a community care provider, which is called Johns Hopkins. Okay. And so the first iteration I went through, I went in, I made the appointment, explained everything to the doctor, and hopefully impressing upon him the complexity of my situation. And he just said, I can handle that, no problem at all. And so I walked away disillusioned out of it, but then I went back and remembered how things work in the government. And this is true anytime that you have to deal with the VA. The best thing to do is to build a case for what you want to do and put it in writing. So that's the thing I did. I got all of, okay, specifically, I am being treated for prostate cancer at stage 4, and I will be resuming some drugs which are hard on the heart and hard on hypertension and a few other odds and ends. But I also just got through going through a triple bypass, which has caused me to be rated by the VA at 100% for heart issues. So my concern is, what kind of treatment should I get based upon the drugs that everybody's telling me I should resume, that according to the drug insert information can cause heart problems. So I gathered up all of the medical information together, and I wrote out the list of all of the problems that I've got and the potential problems that I see coming. Thing like one drug can cause essentially AFib. I already have AFib. Another drug can cause the hypertension. I already have. Ooh, excuse me. I already have hypertension. I also have a heart murmur. So, what's the effect of these drugs on my new heart murmur? There is one of the drugs affects the heart rhythm. So I supplied a number of EKGs that every EKG I run, it says abnormal. So I put all of this stuff together and I emailed the doctor outlining my concerns about what his course of action was going to be, versus I believe I should have a expert in this who is at Johns Hopkins, and to my surprise, he approved it. Or he created the paperwork to go to community care. And community care is an office within the VA, in this case, in the VA hospital, that will approve these things and then make the contact with the appropriate provider. Now, the thing I learned is that the best course of action is that if this ever happens to you, is that the doctor creates the paperwork, okay, within the clinic. In this case, the cancer clinic. The best thing to do is to get a copy of that paperwork and walk it down to the community care office and hand it to them. Now, it's still within the computer, but if you show up there, they will immediately process it. And also, a good thing to do is bring them a couple bags of cookies, which I did. It always helps. Cookies or chocolate. And so, and also the other thing is, if you decide to use community care, you should figure out what doctors you are trying to get to. Because what they will try to do is to find some doctor for you, and it may not be the doctor that you want to use. So the best thing to do is to go in there knowing who it is, where they are, and they will then probably thank you and process the paperwork. And so it has been successful so far. Now the next hurdle is to get the appointment. So that I have to start on tomorrow. But community care can be done if you build a case for it, and you just have to build a case. Okay, any questions about that? Sylvester.
I'm not sure I understand what you are attempting to do.
Okay.
But what I will say is this. There may be doctors in the community care organization that have met the VA criteria for treatment. And if there is such a doctor who is not the doctor you're trying to get treatment from, it may create a problem.
Yes. I do agree with that. I do agree. So therefore, the thing that I think I did not stress is that um, for the hospital, they will generally tell you who they have partnered with as far as like a hospital or certain of the medical practices. And so it would be a good thing to go out to them, like in this case, and with the Washington, D.C. hospital um, has this agreement with John Hopkins Sibley Hospital. So I already know that they are approved doctors. So then I also know that there is a doctor in there that I would very much like to see. But if there wasn't a doctor in there, it might cause issues as far as if I wanted to go totally outside of what their community care uh, setup is. So, yes, indeed, you are correct, Sylvester, and I thank you very much. Okay, Mark.
Yeah, let me get back on this community care. I had a community care visit a year ago. In paperwork, I had all a letter from community care from the VA here in Martinsburg, and I still received a letter for uh, uh, from a hospital. It was part of the community care, and and it was still a year later. So make sure you keep all that paperwork together. And if you have a bill that comes in collection, all you have to do is contact whoever sent you that letter and give them that community care number. And it's like we said before, they have to accept the payment of the VA on that community care. But I had one come in the other day, and I called him up and gave him that number, and the woman says, "Okay, that closes this out, and we appreciate you calling." So, just keep your paperwork all together and make a folder, and so you can keep track of all the bills that are going to come in.
Oh, okay, because I do have a folder, and in fact, I found a folder, a brand new one, essentially in the hospital, sitting on a chair. So I grabbed it and I started my community care folder
Okay, and
for
on
the.
on the inside of that folder, make sure you attach that letter from community care, because that's the number that all those bills are going to go to. So
Right.
make sure you keep that. Yep.
Yep. I will do that. Okay. Anybody else have anything to ask here? Any outside topics?
I have an inside topic. How
Okay.
does that work for you?
Oh, good. Good.
Um,
Well, I was just about to ask, and who has joined us is Rick Davis, who is the founder of the AnCan Foundation. and he is the one that helped us instigate this veteran support group, and I thank him very much for all of the things he does for veterans and all of the other support groups there are. Rick, yes, sir.
Thank you. Well, what we have discovered is that some of you vets have things to talk about that may really not fit into benefits and navigation, but they are very worthwhile topics, and some of you vets need help getting them off your chest, or the opportunity, not help, you need the opportunity to get them off your chest. And so in speaking with Captain Jim and also Dr. John, we are planning on starting a new monthly group called Veterans Speaking Freely. So we already have a Men Speaking Freely, which is only for men, and we have a Women Speaking Freely, which is only for women. And I think that we should be adding a Veterans Speaking Freely, which will be for all veterans, men and women, and anything in between. And we're hoping to get it started either this month or next month. We're still trying to identify our moderators. We're very hopeful that Bill Franklin will lead it, who is our board president and who's very empathetic to supporting veterans' mental health. We know that when he was promoting the movie last year, if you remember, we were promoting a flight. I can't remember what it was called. But Alexa is due to talk to him, and then we'd like to try and add a couple of other moderators to that. If anybody here is interested, please let me or Alexa know. And essentially, it's just going to be a group for you guys to get together and chat about anything that you want to chat about. It doesn't have to be veterans related, but I suspect that there will be issues that come up that are very familiar to you as vets, and we'll develop them. Dr. John will attend. I don't think he's going to moderate, but he's certainly going to be there to help and to navigate, especially if any difficult issues come up. And of course, remember that Dr. John spent half of his working life at the VA doing just this very thing. He was an addiction and pain psychiatrist. So we're very excited about it. I don't know if you're as excited about it as we are. I hope there's a few of you who are, and I hope we'll see you in that group. So there you go.
Okay, Rick McCullum, you have your hand up.
On that veterans group, Rick, will you let us know when it's been being put together and when it's going to be?
Yeah, we'll let you know, certainly with the reminder that we have for this one. It'll be in that reminder, and there'll be a lot of we hope there'll be a lot of cross referral. So people that might come to the other group will come to this, and people that come to this group will go to the other one. So, they're really complementary. I mean, what we hope to do in that group is be able to talk about everything with certain exceptions, which are treatment for your exact disease, which we don't really want to get into because there won't be people knowledgeable possibly about your disease. There may be, but there may not be. And we're also not going to get into any discussions about benefits and and navigating your health care, that will be off limits because that'll be for this group. But
Well,
everything and anything else, we will be telling you, and of course, we'll send out. There'll be a new group to sign up for, and we'll be sending out that. If anybody is interested in writing introductions for that, we'll probably need some help with that too. I can see, you know, for those of you who attend our Men Speaking Freely, you'll know we have terrific introductions that are usually written either by Dr. John or or Rich Jackson. So yes, but we'll definitely let you know.
Well, I just wanted to say that that a friend recommended these groups to me, and I really appreciate you or and the other guys who put this group together because these are really helpful. I know they're helpful to me, and I really appreciate that I can go and discuss my issues, and I don't have to be ashamed or anything like that of it. You know, I can
Right.
freely discuss it. So I appreciate it and thank you.
It's our
No
pleasure. It's
problem
what
at
we
all.
do. It's what we do, and and my appreciation is for the guys, the volunteers who are so helpful in running this, especially Captain Jim and Dr. Ed and Colonel Boykin and you know, Sylvester. Um, we couldn't do it without you, gents. We just couldn't do it. And so it you know, it's so meaningful. We may have the ideas, but we can't. Oh, and I forgot to mention Gary Tosca. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
oh,
One of
big
our
deal.
star volunteers.
Right. I want to take a sort of a deviation here and talk about one specific disability that has started to come up. Mr. Mark, I want to talk to you about the Parkinson's. Are you
Yes,
there?
yes, I'm here.
Okay, I have been reading up on this thing because at the time we spoke about it last, um, you then got me interested because I bumped into a Vietnam vet, okay, the Vietnam Veterans Association, who has it, and you explained to me how the VA views this disease, and they view it within progression stages as far as disabilities go. But then I have a question for you. Have you looked into various VA citations about how people have appealed their Parkinson's and how they claim it at all?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard that. So,
Okay.
um,
Well, let me let me fall back for the group here and just talk about, in general, at the time that you stick in a claim, it gets adjudicated and awarded, and if you disagree with it, you can have it appeal or you can have it reviewed. Now,
correct,
if you have it reviewed, all it is the existing things that you put in. It will be reviewed of what you submitted by a different person. Then there's a higher level review, and if that isn't successful, then you can appeal.
correct,
Okay. And you can also supply new evidence and all kinds of stuff in the appeal. Well, what comes out of that appeal, which I stumbled across accidentally a few years ago, and they are published on the internet, is a thing called a VA citation. and the citation is the ruling of the law judge who hears the case. And these citations can be very enlightening as to how the VA views certain things, because the judge, after hearing the case, will issue this ruling citation, and it'll be in three parts. It'll be, the first part is the veteran's case as presented and the evidence. The second part, the judge will then explain all of the VA rules and all the laws and exactly how they will rate each different aspect for a 20%, a 30%, a 40%, etc. And they go into excruciating detail. And and then the judge will take the part one, apply it to part two, and rule. Now, within the Parkinson's, I've noticed that in the beginning you get 30% for Parkinson's, but then you can claim individual secondary effects out of the Parkinson's, which can give you a 10%, a 20%, a 10%, etc., etc. So, Mark, I have a collection of these that I've gotten, and the thing I'll do is to ship you those. And
Okay.
I found those to be very enlightening about how people have gotten more than the 30% because, and then as they progress, it gets progressively worse and it goes higher and higher, or I should hope it does. So
It does, but the one thing that I have found out is you do not die of Parkinson's. There is no that will not, probably not ever show up on your death certificates, because Parkinson's is what causes pneumonia and things like that. There is no such thing as dying from Parkinson's. It's just the disease. It's not like cancer or anything like that. You die from other things that you've received from Parkinson's, like you know, not being, muscle problems and things like that. So that's what I found out so far. So, but I still keep digging and looking.
right, the thing I did come across was somebody that had it and they died of the fact that the Parkinson's caused them to be unsteady on their feet and they fell
Correct.
and they broke a hip.
Correct.
And then what happened? The hip started to have problems, and because of the broken hip, they got sepsis, and the sepsis eventually killed them.
Correct. But you
Now,
have to.
on the death certificate, the way I understand it, that was explained that it was, the final thing was caused by sepsis, but it was backtracked on the death certificate to relate it to the Parkinson's original cause.
Right, and
So I don't know if that could have
that's
flown.
what we're fighting for, is because of the 8-year, 10-year rule on if something like that happens and it's because of your Parkinson's, and that's the only thing, you're not fighting prostate cancer or heart disease or kidneys or anything like that, that your spouse is entitled to a check afterwards.
Right.
And so that's what we're finding out and fighting for now, is because of that sepsis, if we can backtrack that and say because of the fall and the broken hip and things like that. So that's what everybody's trying to look into that I've spoken with.
Okay. Okay, well, that's just thing because I'm starting to bump into more and more folks that do have it, and it's coming out of Agent Orange.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct. And I'll take any information anybody's got.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Okay.
I will do that. I still have the gentleman that's supposed to get his paperwork together next week for the Parkinson's, and so I will hook you two up
Okay.
together because I think he needs a mentor to calm him down and
Okay. Will do.
ease him going.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to bring up? Well, I thank you very much on this first occasion where it is recorded, and I'm going to stop the recording now.